My name is Vince Hughes and I'm from Whitehaven in Cumbria. The job I had before I retired was Managing Director of Graves Cumberland Limited. Previous to that I was Company Secretary and Accountant, and I joined the company in 1998 and retired in 2014. It was mainly looking after the accounts initially, but I enjoyed getting out into the company, and with the cinemas and bingo halls you met a lot of very good, nice people. The cinema in Whitehaven had been there for a long time, from the 1920s, and well, going back to cinema in my day, there were 3 cinemas based in Whitehaven: the Gaiety, the Empire and the Queen's. And as a kid I went to all 3. I enjoyed watching films like James Bond. I saw the From Russia with Love and Goldfinger at the Gaiety. I don't remember much about the Empire, that was on Roper Street, but it was a different cinema to the other 2. The other 2 had 2 floors. The Empire was a one floor cinema, and I remember it had a dark corridor that you went down or came out of after you'd seen a film. The cinemas were owned by different people, I think. I think that Graves Cumberland owned the Queen's and the Empire, but then bought out a family called Bailey's and bought the Gaiety Whitehaven. Of course, what was happening then was television was taking over the role of the cinema, so things weren't as good for the cinemas in the 1960s, 70s.
So we're 100 years old. When it was originally built, the cinema catered for 1,450 people. These days, this is just the balcony bit, which is the cinema. It holds about 226 people now. This would have been the balcony circle area. As you'll see, this is the foyer. There's some kind of quite interesting bits. We have Humphrey Bogart in the ticket office. This is the ticket office from years ago. We've kept that. Humphrey was an acquisition when we reopened this back in 2015. Again, kiosk area as much as it was. The cinema closed for a while between 2003 and then reopened in 2015.
A big challenge was that the cinema wasn't making money year 2000, and we had to monitor it, and eventually had to close it down. We had opened the 5-screen at Dunmail Park, and that had an effect on the cinema in Whitehaven. Being 8 miles away from each other made it difficult. So we had to make a decision, which we didn't want to make at the time, to close the cinema.
We reopened to James Bond, Spectre, when that came out. Pretty much full house for the first couple of weeks of that. Went down really well. We had people turning up in tuxedos, families, people who hadn't been for years to the cinema. We had families coming in, 2-3 generations of families. People who are grandparents who grew up coming to the Gaiety. Their kids are grown up, and then their grandkids are grown up. And the grandkids probably hadn't seen the cinema here So it was an opportunity for them to come along as well. So very popular when we reopened, and it continues to sort of be popular, particularly with kind of families. It's been great being right in the town centre for them.
Well, naturally they were disappointed and wanted to keep it open, but we gave it a period of time to make it work, and it didn't happen. So we then made a decision to close it, but we mothballed it on the hope that something might turn up, and we looked for alternative uses for the screen.
So here we are. This is the auditorium. As I said, this was the original upper part of the cinema, whether you call it the balcony or call it the circle. Underneath these days is now a bingo club in what would have been the stalls. The seats in here are the original seats that have been here for many years. We did get them refurbished in 2015, just before we reopened, but in essence they're the same seats but fully refurbished. One or two of them have got cup holders, some of them have got slightly more leg room, which is very popular. Again, nice big screen for people coming in, great sound, curtains, all that you would expect in something that's just a little bit old but nice and quite cosy.
Aesthetics of the building. The building itself is, I've been trying to think about what kind of building it is, because it doesn't really fit into the street plan of Whitehaven. It's arts and crafts, I suppose, the external, but internally it's Art Deco in style, and you see more of that in the lower floor, because the cinema that's there now is only the circle, and the rest of the building is the bingo club. So the Art Deco part of the building is in the bingo club, and it looks quite something actually.
Should we have a wander down? So if we go down here, you can get a bit of a better look at it all. And this has pretty much been unchanged for many years. We've looked after it. The place has been re-roofed probably about 10 or 15 years ago. And today people come in. We've had comedy nights. It's been popular. Different things that we've tried here. So as you look round, there's quite a lot of different features in here. You'll see kind of some of the ornate bits around the pillars, some of the ceiling areas where you've got vents and things like that, but very ornate, beautifully finished, nicely painted. So it's got some quite nice, quirky old features in here, and then some modern bits. Obviously the radiators and things like that are a more modern addition at some point in the past. We still have one or two little bits that are hidden away, preserved, so we can have a quick look at that if you want behind the curtain here. And if you have a kind of a look up on the wall here, you'll see you've got some of the previous wall coverings there which have been preserved. We've just left those where they were.
Hi, my name's Martin Harvey. I'm the cinema manager here at the Gaiety Cinema. We'll go from the auditorium to the projection room. So we still have the old 35mm projector in store. These were well before my time, so I've never used any of these. The reels that we used to lace the 35mm reel up in are still there as well. So we are a fully digital projection room projector now. It's a barcode 2K projector. All our films come digitally. Most of them come via transfer, via the Landsat or our transit system. If they do come on drives, they'll come in a pack like this, and I'll show you a film. This is Sing 2, so we'd ingest it into the Landsat, transfer it to the projector, and then it goes onto the screen. Our sound system is we have Dolby Sound, 5.1 Dolby Sound, and you might also see we've still got a lot of posters up from before we closed down. They're originally kept there from the old projectionist. A lot of old films, classics. Will Smith's up there with Men in Black, The Rock, Nicolas Cage, Brad Pitt. The old projectionist must have loved these films, these action films.
We are the Men in Black.
Most of the people who join work for the cinema are usually young people who are interested in cinema, and find that they work with the older, more streetwise people, like Archie, who was the torch man in the cinema, and he used to have a part-time job selling newspapers on the corner of King Street, Lowther Street, and then come over and do his job, showing people to the seats or making sure people behave. And there was very strong-willed people, and he would make sure that they would obey the rules.
Staff or projectionists used to come check on the auditorium, make sure the sound and pitch is okay, and the people in there not misbehaving or anything like that. So this would have been for the original 35mm projector. You would have had two big reels on there leading to the 35mm projector. It would have been over there, and it would have looped round, film, going to film. I feel like the Gaiety reopening has given a lot back to the community, because a lot of people can't go to other multiplexes or anything like that. It's a cinema in the town centre for them, walking distance. I do speak to a lot of people who remember it from back in the day, a bit of nostalgia for them, and they do tend to love it, and you see a lot of the same faces, which is good. You get to know a lot of different people, and I just feel the customers who come, they have a little connection with the spot. They enjoy the staff, they enjoy talking to us, they just have a nice feel here. The Gaiety's marking this 100th anniversary in April. I am extremely proud to be the General Manager of the Gaiety Cinema this great time. It's doing really well at the minute. I've worked for the company for 15 years, building my way up to General Manager, and I'm very happy about that.
I remember the weeks before it closed, they were trying every which way they could to get people to come to the cinema, and we gave them, I think it was 2 months to turn it round, and it just didn't come to pass. They were very, very upset, and the staff found it difficult. Well, did I think it would ever come back again? I didn't expect it to reopen, but credit to the people who involved. They've made it work, and they've improved.
Well, I would probably say my favourite thing about the Gaiety Cinema would be sort of how it's almost a relic of the past. It's very old, it's over 100, well not over 100, it's coming up to 100 years old in fact, and you can go up to the old projection room and see where all the old rooms were. There's an old room up there where they used to cut the film, which is very cool. Yeah, it's just it's a really nice old, almost historic building.
We live in Manchester and we travel up to Whitehaven to visit our family, and we go out of our way to come to the cinema because it brings back memories and it reminds me, like I say, from when I was small, and the smell of the popcorn. It's got a small little shop, it's very child friendly, and we always have great memories coming here, so we go out our way to visit it because it is a really good family cinema.
Definitely, it's a great cinema. If you like cinemas, it's got a big screen, it's got comfortable seats, you can get your popcorn and have a drink, so what's there not to like about the Gaiety?
It's amazing. I'm glad it's still going, and I hope it goes for another 100 years, if not more. I think it's brilliant that we still have a cinema. I didn't personally realise it was 100 years old, but I did have a connection to it when I came because it reminds me when I was little and my childhood, so I think we need to keep the good old cinema going.
When I retired, they put a film on for me, and it was quite a surprise because I had no inkling at all that this was going to happen, and they'd found out what my favourite film was, which was The Third Man, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. My nephew, who was part of the audience, thought it was pretty bad and a bit old-fashioned, which in fact it is, but it's a film noir.
I pretty much go and see just about every film that comes out, I would say. Probably, typically, I will see in a month 10 or 12 films, I would guess. I'm more than happy to go to pretty much anything. Part of that's useful to know because obviously we're showing films, and part of it is I just love the cinema and that great experience, the big screen. It's fantastic.